The Kitten and the Sparrow in the Grass. On a lush green meadow where tiny white flowers swayed in the spring breeze, a fluffy, light orange kitten lay sprawled on a red and white checkered picnic blanket. Its big, round eyes sparkled like two emeralds, reflecting the curiosity and mischief of childhood. In front of it was an open bento box filled with cute round rice balls, a few slices of fresh pink salmon, and some green vegetables cut into flower shapes. The aroma of the meal wafted through the air, mingling with the scent of fresh grass. The kitten, who would later be called Mew, was not a stray. It belonged to Hana, an 8-year-old girl who lived in a small village nearby. Hana had brought Mew out to the meadow to play today, but she had run home to get more water, leaving Mew alone with the bento box. Mew was in no hurry to eat. He loved to watch everything around it, from the white butterflies fluttering around to the wind rustling through the trees. Then suddenly, a small figure appeared. A gray sparrow with bright black eyes landed on the edge of the picnic blanket. It tilted its head, looked at the bento box, then looked at Mew as if asking, "Can I try a little?" Mew blinked, not moving. It did not growl, nor did it chase away. Perhaps it was because the sparrow's eyes looked so clear, not afraid, but full of hope. The pale yellow sunlight shone through the leaves onto the picnic blanket, creating shimmering, dancing spots of light. The scene was as beautiful as a painting, a kitten and a sparrow, two creatures that seemed impossible to be together, standing together in front of a small but warm meal. No one said anything, but both seemed to feel something special, a rare moment of peace. Mew tilted her head slightly, observing the sparrow. She had never seen such a bold bird. Usually the birds in the village would fly away as soon as it came near, but this sparrow was different. It hopped in small steps, getting closer to the lunchbox, its wings trembling slightly as if it was nervous. Mew stretched out a small leg, gently pushing the lunchbox towards the bird. This action was not a rejection, but a silent invitation. The sparrow blinked, seemingly surprised, then it pecked lightly at a rice ball. The white rice grain stuck to its beak and the bird clumsily swallowed it, its eyes shining as if it had just discovered a treasure. Mew laughed, or rather, it made a small sound like a happy meow. The kitten also bent down, took a bite of salmon, and chewed slowly. The two of them ate together, without rushing, without fighting. A gentle breeze blew, carrying a few white petals that fell onto the picnic blanket, as if blessing this strange friendship. Far away from the direction of the village, Hana's footsteps echoed. She ran over, holding a bottle of water, shouting loudly, "Mew, I'm back!" But when she saw the scene before her, Hana stopped, her eyes wide with surprise. She crouched down beside the blanket, whispering, "Mew, how can you be friends with a sparrow? Don't cats chase birds?" Mew didn't answer. Of course she was a cat. But she licked her lips, looked at Hana and then at the sparrow, as if to say, "This is my new friend." Hana giggled, took a small piece of rice from the bento box and placed it in front of the sparrow. "If I'm Mew's friend, then I'm your friend too," she said, her voice as clear as a wind chime. The next day, Mew and Hana went out to the meadow again. This time, Hana brought a small box of millet, hoping the sparrow would return. And sure enough, a few minutes later the sparrow appeared, perching on a low branch before hopping down onto the picnic blanket. Mew wagged her tail happily and Hana clapped her hands and shouted, "You're here again! I'll call you Little Sparrow." Little Sparrow seemed to have gotten used to Mew and Hana's presence. It was no longer as timid as the day before, but hopped around the box of millet, pecking at each grain with delight. But then something strange happened. As the sunlight slanted through Little Sparrow's wings, Hana noticed a small scar on its left wing. The scar had healed, but it was clear that the bird had been injured. "Mew, did you see?" Little Sparrow was hurt, Hana whispered, her voice filled with worry. She leaned closer, observing carefully. Little Sparrow did not avoid her, just tilted its head to look at Hana, as if understanding her concern. Mew also moved closer, gently touching Little Sparrow's wing with her nose, a gentle action rarely seen in a cat. Hana suddenly remembered a story her grandmother had told her. A few months ago, a big storm had swept through the village. Many bird nests were blown away by the wind, and Hana's grandmother found a small sparrow injured under a tree. She took care of it, bandaging its wings until it was strong enough to fly again. Could Little Sparrow be that bird? Hana wondered, her heart pounding with emotion. She decided to tell Little Sparrow this story, even though she knew it didn't understand human language. "If you are the bird that Grandma saved, then you are very strong. You have survived the storm to come here to be friends with Mew and her sister." Little Sparrow pecked another grain of millet, as if agreeing with Hana. In the following days, the friendship between Mew, Little Sparrow, and Hana grew closer. Every afternoon, the three of them gathered in the meadow, sharing small meals and silly games. Mew liked to chase after the sun's shadow, while little Sparrow flew around Hana as if teasing her. The little girl's laughter echoed throughout the fields, mingling with Mew's meows and Sparrow's chirping. But one day, as the three of them were playing, a dark shadow suddenly flew across the sky. It was a hawk, with wide wings and a cold gaze. Sparrow panicked and flew up, but its weak left wing prevented it from flying high. The hawk swooped down, its claws extended, aimed straight at Sparrow. Hana shouted, "No!" The little girl waved her arms, trying to chase the hawk away, but it did not falter. At that moment, Mew acted. With lightning speed, the kitten jumped up, waving its claws at the hawk. Mew's angry meows rang out, full of courage and determination. The hawk was startled, changed direction, and flew away, leaving Sparrow to fall on the picnic cloth, trembling but safe. Hana hugged Mew, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Mew, you're so amazing. You saved Sparrow." Sparrow, though still scared, jumped closer to Mew, gently touching his beak to the cat's leg as a thank you. Mew just licked her lips, lying down next to Sparrow, her big round eyes shining with pride. At that moment, under the bright yellow sunlight, the three little friends stood next to each other. Without words, they understood that they had become an indispensable part of each other's lives. As the sun gradually set, the grassland was dyed a brilliant orange. Hana sat between Mew and Sparrow, holding a small white flower in her hand. She whispered, "No matter what happens in the future, we will always be friends, okay?" Mew rubbed her head against Hana's hand, and Sparrow chirped as if in agreement. The wind blew gently, carrying the flower petals far away, like a promise sent to the sky. Time passed. Spring gave way to bright summer days, then golden autumn and cold winter. The grasslands changed with the seasons, but the friendship between Mew, Sparrow, and Hana remains as strong as ever. One winter evening, as the snow begins to fall lightly, Hana decides to have a special picnic to celebrate the day they first met. The little girl carried a small lantern, the warm yellow light shining from the thin paper panels, illuminating the picnic cloth, now covered with a thin blanket to keep warm. The bento box was replaced by a tray of hot cookies and some fragrant roasted millet. Mew curled up next to Hana, her eyes sparkling in the light, while little Sparrow perched on a small branch that Hana had planted in the ground, its wings trembling slightly from the cold. Hana looked at her two friends, smiling gently. "We've been through a lot together, right? From the spring sunshine to the winter snow. You've always been by my side." The little girl took a red ribbon from her pocket, tied it lightly around Mew's neck like a necklace, then gave the last millet grain to little Sparrow. "This is my gift. No matter what happens in the future, I hope we'll always remember each other." That night, under the starry sky, the three little friends sat together, not saying much, but the silence was filled with affection. The soft sound of the winter wind sang, carrying the warmth from the lantern that spread across the meadow. Little Sparrow chirped one last time as a farewell before flying high into the night. Mew yawned, rubbing her head against Hana's chest, and she gently stroked the kitten, her eyes brimming with tears. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope it has brought you a little warmth and joy, like the spring sunshine on the meadow. I hope you will always find beautiful moments in life, and thank you for taking the time to read this story.